also work in children's. And I'd like to welcome you all this afternoon for a fun concert of some knee slapping and foot stomping music. I am so excited to introduce these two gentlemen, Ryan and Brennish Thompson. They have kind of, they have played a lot of libraries in the area, and I've heard amazing things about them. So please enjoy the afternoon.
I think we're going to start with a couple of hornpipes.
Then we'll do some talking. We'll put you through that right away. fun tunes called New Hampshire Hornpipe. It's the state New Hampshire tune, in my eyes anyway. It's a great little tune.
The first tune is called The Boys of Blue Hill. It's a traditional Irish hornpipe.
Yeah. So we'll be playing a bunch of different Irish tunes, a lot of kind of cross-pollinated tunes too that have kind of drifted through the Irish repertoire, maybe the Scottish or touched into the old-time repertoire, and it's all fairly interconnected. We were thinking of doing some singing stuff, but unfortunately we have coronavirus. No, it's not true. Allergies and things, so we may, we'll see, I'll get halfway through the set and see how my throat's doing. But yeah, I mean, this music, a lot of it that we're playing is dance music, so it's instrumental stuff you'd be playing in a kitchen with a bunch of family around, 20, 30 people dancing in a small space, trying to avoid pillars and things. And it's great dancing music. So if anybody wants to start, a set going down the middle here, we're all for it. We'll not discourage it. We're also very disorganized in a good, authentic way. We'll be willing to hear tune-wise.
Well, let's see. How do you feel about doing one of your cool tunes that I don't yet know?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'll do one I just learned.
But if you tell me the key, I'll decide it.
Yeah. G.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah, so there's this tremendous player. I don't know how many people here know what a concertina is. Put your hand up if you know what a concertina is. Okay, so maybe a fourth. It's not bad. I highly advise looking up a concertina on YouTube. It's basically a little bit like this instrument here, which is an accordion. It has a bellow instrument with reeds. But the concertina was made for orchestral use originally. It has all the same notes as a fiddle, pretty much. They're impossibly complicated to play. I have no idea how to play one. We bought one that was both a mistake and a blessing. But this tune here comes from a wonderful player named Cormac Bagley out of Ennis. Really beautiful tune. But I don't know the name of it, but that's how most of these tunes are. So we'll just give it a try. So in light of all this St. Patrick's Day kind of warm up here, a lot of these tunes are pretty old tunes. A lot of the music that you kind of associate with, especially in Boston, with Irish music is fairly recent music. A lot of it influenced from a lot of other places, but a lot of the tunes we're playing now are, 200 or 300 years old, if not some. We'll probably play some maybe 500 or 600-year-old tunes too. These are tunes that I'm sure have made a little bit of a transformation over the years, telephoning between musicians. But it's kind of fun to have a piece of music that is so old and has so much history to it. It's been played by so many tens of thousands of people. It's kind of a unique fun thing. So we're really
What about doing some polkas?
yeah, let's do it. Another dance style music. Very fast.
This is a penny whistle, only this one costs about $150, but many, many years ago you could get a whistle really inexpensively and they were made out of tin. And a lot of times people call these tin whistles. And I was really lucky when I was about 14 years old. My mother drove by a yard sale and there was someone that had a penny whistle factory and they had decided to stop making penny whistles. So my mother picked up all these boxes and she we have hundreds of penny whistles made out of tin. Now I only have like one or two left, but they were great for like presents, for gifts, for events, and pass them out to all the kids in the neighborhood.
Super dangerous around a lot of kids with penny whistles. You need hearing protection at all times.
So I guess we'll do a tune called Egan's Polka and a version of the Rattling Bog, and then I can't remember the name of that other one. Is that good enough?
Oh yeah,
Whatever that is. Yeah, that's a different one.
we know it on the instruments at least. That's what really matters.
So we'll do three of each. Years ago, I haven't done this for a few years now, but I used to play for the set dancing down in Boston at the Canadian American Club with Larry Reynolds and his group down there, which is really, really fun. I was playing keyboard mostly. And so when we did polkas, there were special sets that people did with 8 people in a set, and special footsteps and special patterns that you would use for polkas, as opposed to the steps that you use for jigs and reels and other types of things like that. So and there's still room, I think, if people want to. of these tunes, when immigrants came over from Ireland and Scotland, and they brought the tunes, a lot of people settled in the Appalachian area, southern Appalachian area in particular, and a lot of these tunes got, they started being played on instruments that weren't common to Ireland, like five-string banjo, for example. So there's a lot of the old, what we call old-time tunes from the southern Appalachian Mountains that are deriving from Celtic tunes. So I thought we'd do like one or two of those, and you get to choose.
Yeah, sure. You want to do all
Yeah. So I'm in D right now, but I can go to other keys.
So yeah, we'll do a tune called Black Eyed Susie, which I believe is a dish, something to do with chickpeas maybe, or black beans. Someone might now have the recipe for it. I wish I did. If someone knows, let me know. It was a lovely old time tune, and a lot of this music in America, especially in the Appalachians and in the South, most of it came in some part from Ireland and Scotland. So this is one of those tunes. It's kind of a cross repertoire a bit.
Time signature 4/4, and what happened a lot of times with a lot of the Irish tunes that came over to the Appalachians, tunes that are in other time signatures, for example 6/8, are hard to play on a five-string banjo. So a lot of those tunes died out. So a lot of times if you go to a square dance down in the southern mountains, it'll be mostly all tunes in 4/4. And if a band is very brave, they might do a few jigs, but that's an interesting thing that happened when music came over. So we're going to have to do a set of jigs.
Yeah, sure.
And so we get into 6/8.
No one has a guitar with those jigs. Alright.
I like it better when there's twin fiddles, but
Oh, do you want to
on
do
jigs.
the whistle one?
Well, we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guitar.
Sure.
So I can say we're just winging it here. This is exactly what would happen if we were in the band and y'all were the dancers and we're sitting here and arguing about tunes for 30 minutes as you're like, come on, just play something. We've gotten slightly more efficient though since I was like 8. So we'll play 3 tunes here, one of which, another one he wrote, a really lovely tune called The Flywheel.
I can't remember how the other one starts. Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe you will get the 30 minutes of deliberating the tunes. We have this, I just remembered something kind of humorous as I'm tuning up here. We have this YouTube video from when I was a little kid and me playing at a Unitarian church or something with my dad for a little concert. And I was playing an instrument called the jaw harp, which we may or may not torture you with at some point.
We should get it
during
out.
this concert.
You mentioned it. I
But,
totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, so it's him playing the banjo and then me playing this little jaw harp thing. And I think I was 13 and my voice was far nasalier and even higher than it is now. And he is tuning his banjo in a very appropriate manner as I'm explaining what this instrument is. And there's, I don't know if anyone has ever dived into the comments on YouTube, but they tend to be pretty toxic and pretty bad. And there's a huge debate on this YouTube video of why he's tuning his banjo while I'm trying to explain this instrument. And there's this flame war, just hundreds of comments long, like Facebook comments, just totally, it's a disaster. It's endless entertainment for me, who has no stake in any of it.
And we got 200,000 hits on the video. So.
And they're arguing about the tuning.
You know, I forgot to bring some water up here.
Would you like some water?
If you have a stick, go ahead. So the first tune is called, did you already say the tunes?
I didn't say the first two.
Out on the Ocean. Second tune has a couple different names. One is Donnybrook Fair, and the other one is Joy of My Life. And a lot of Irish tunes have half a dozen names, and those are 2 that I remember. Third tune is called The Flywheel. Thank you.
at a master stroke.
You brought it up. You want to try playing an Irish tune on it?
Talk about impromptu. So this little weird instrument, the jaw harp, there's versions of this instrument in practically every country. There's a few instruments like that. We'll probably get to another one, at least another one here. But this specific one, the concept is it's bent metal that makes a twangy noise when you pluck it. That's the short answer. Now the long answer is that it's got a little part here in the middle that moves back and forth between these two tines on either side, and you get kind of the rubber band effect. Now on its own, you can, if I pluck it here, there's not much. This is a D. Yep. There's not much sound on its own, but when you put it up to your head becomes this natural speaker, and it's kind of bizarre. All sorts of strange.
Turn it up a little bit.
No, I will.
Turn it up. Yeah, I got it too. Let's try this for fun. There's on the west coast of Ireland, there's this little port where the ships come in, and we don't speak Gaelic, so I don't know the exact proper way to pronounce it, but it's Lark. It sort of sounds like that, and this is a tune that comes from that area. And we've never done this with the jaw harp before, but we'll try it out. What do you think?
You guys are our beta testers.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it on the ice cream. What about we bring out the bones and try that?
Sure, yeah. So I mentioned a brief second ago that we have some other weird old instruments that have existed since the beginning of time, and bones happen to be one of them, and I don't mean the bones in your body, although I think you might have a pair of actual bone bones. But bones are a real simple concept, essentially two pieces of material, and the kind of refined version of this is two slightly curved material pieces here. You can hold them up and show what you got there. Yeah, and the idea is you hold them in your hand in a particular sort of way, and when you move your hand in this kind of ringing a bell motion, it makes a clacking sound. Kind of an interesting way you can make a little noise on it. This is pretty cool. It really is just two pieces of material. We have one pair here is a pair of maybe shin bones from a cow or something, and
these are actually, this pair is actually deer antler.
A deer antler, yeah. So you really can make them out of anything, and unfortunately, we'll go to grocery stores and we'll go to the dog food and dog toy section and we'll find like deer antlers and start clacking away. It's one of these instruments that you can pretty much pull out of thin air, which is fun.
And find some kind of a fun reel.
Sorry.
Yeah, play that one. That's a good one.
So I'll play an somewhat aptly named tune called Save the Ham.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about the story about why the name of the tune is called Save the Ham?
Yeah, sure. So this tune, one of my great inspirations, Liz Carroll, an Irish fiddle player from Chicago, a wonderful player. She told me the story about this tune here that she taught me, where she got home back to, I think it was her parents' house outside of Chicago, and they have a farm, and they have chickens and cows and pigs and things. And as she pulled into the driveway, she heard a squealing sound coming from the barn, and she rushed over. And she's a very tall, sallow woman who's chasing over and sees the mama pig is laying on top of one of the piglets, and the piglet is squealing and can't get out. And she comes over and lifts this huge, like 500-pound pig, just shoves it off, with some adrenaline energy, and all this while in her head, this tune had been brewing for a couple of years with no name. And in that moment, she went, "Save the ham, that's it." That's the name of this tune. So you might hear some pigs in here. We got some spoon appreciators. It's the first time that's ever happened. Now this is another one of these instruments that's also fairly accessible. I'm sure some of you have maybe seen your grandfather or grandmother maybe playing a pair of spoons in their knee, that sort of thing. It's a little died out. It's both sad and joyous that the spoons have died out in this way, but they're lovely, clacky instruments, and it was really the first instrument that I ever played on stage. I'm not sure what town it was, but it was when I was 8 years old.
There was that time when you were 5 years old and you played the penny whistle at the Scottish Country Dance.
Oh God, that was There's a lot of bad memories from that.
Those are good memories.
But these are fun too, and these are a lot like the bones in the sense that you're getting the sound just from a piece of wood or material. The difference is these are connected, so it's kind of like it has training wheels. This is really nice for me.
You're always very well written up.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to, but it's kind of interesting though.
Yeah, this pair has a little bit of an interesting history. I was in a Goodwill when I was 7 or 8, I think, and I was in the kitchenwares aisle just looking for things to take apart at home. And I found a bowl of salad tongs, and this was sticking out of it. And I had a pair previous before this that I liked a lot, and I also had Quebec stamped right on the back here. So I went, obviously that's not a pair of salad tongs, and this is its own thing. So I played a little bit and realized what it was. It had a dollar sticker right over the half of the Quebec, so I brought it up and so this is a great deal. Can I grab one of these? And they're trying to figure out why a kid is buying $1 pair of salad tongs. Only $1 pair of salad tongs. And I played a little thing, and then I think they wish they had a little more money on the label, but I'm happy.
The first one's called Spoodiscary, and that's a Shetland tune from the Shetland Islands, and the second tune is called Far From Home, which is an Irish reel. And I want you to get out your fiddle, and we'll do another twin fiddle thing. And I want to point out, some of you, I'm sure many of you have noticed this, some people don't notice it right away, is that when I play my violin, I bow with my left hand, and when he plays his violin, he bows it with his right hand. So I'm playing a left-handed violin, and it's a mirror image of a right-handed violin. The strings are on the opposite sides, and all the internal construction of the instrument is the opposite of a right-handed violin. And so it's kind of interesting.
It's pretty unusual, too, to see a 5-string. It's a 5-string violin. Most violins are 4 strings. So it's a G, D, A, E, and his is C, lower viola string C, G, D, A, E. This lovely kind of warm low tone. I like a lot.
So how many of you have noticed that? I'm just curious. A bunch of you have.
Yeah, we notice musicians will often notice, and then there's people who are left-handed will notice because it's inherently a little different. That would be what's
Well, I was thinking, how about a set of Jigs with twin fiddles? Sure. With the Connacht Bends Rambles. Okay, so 3 jigs, the Connacht Bends Rambles, and My Darling Asleep, and Morrison's jig.
Yeah.
Yeah, please fiddle.
So we'll go to another wind instrument here. This time the Irish wooden flute, which in a lot of ways is just a bigger cousin of the penny whistle. The fingering is very similar. But this is, I think, a much older instrument than the penny whistle is. A lot simpler. It's a hollowed out pipe, sort of.
Pretty simple. Just the 6 holes that you put your fingers on and 1 hole that you breathe across.
Yeah, we love to start these things.
So we're going to do a tune that was composed by Turlock O'Carolan, who was a harp player, and he composed tunes into the late 1700s. And this tune is called She Begged, She More, which I understand means Big Hill, Little Hill. And we're really kind of sprightly. Yeah. It's possible to play it like a waltz, but we'll, we have time, I guess, to do one more. Do we have time to do one more?
Okay, so we'll finish off with the hardest tunes we know. Which is always a good thing. These are some tunes collected and written, rather, by a wonderful tunesmith, Ed Reevy, whose son is still alive and is also a prolific tune writer. He wrote millions of tunes with millions of notes. It's kind of like you took every note in the English language, every note in the musical language, and tossed them in a blender, and out came a delicious musical smoothie.
Wow, that's a lot of imagery.
Yeah, that's what I envision when I hear these tunes. But they're fun, they're ripping tunes.
So the names of the tunes, the first one is called Fisherman's Island, and the second one is called The Hunter's House.